Reggae has a philosophy, you know. It's not just entertainment, there's an idea behind it, a way of life behind the music, which is a positive way of life, which is a progressive way of life for better people. Now, that's a quote from Ziggy Marley. Now, this quote addresses the main reason I created Hippie-Fari, the revolutionary, change-inducing message of reggae music. It was created for revolution, and this message is as strong today as it was in the 60s when the first reggae records were released in Jamaica. Some massive props to Johnny Nash for his track Hold Me Tight, which is credited for introducing reggae to the United States when it hit the charts in 1968. Much love, Mr. Nash. Welcome to another episode of Hippie-Fari Reggae Radio and Podcast. I'm your host, Scotty the High-Strung Hippie. And Hippie-Fari is a podcast where we discuss all things reggae. So if reggae music is your thing, you're in the right place. We're doing a free t-shirt and sticker giveaway. Go to YouTube, follow us at Hippie-Fari, and download any episode. Send me a screenshot, email to hippiefari@yahoo.com, and I'll pick a winner. So tonight we have a special guest in the studio with a huge name in the reggae scene. This individual and production outfit have put on some amazing events, which I've had the pleasure of playing. And he's got some great ones coming soon. De Shaka, Brothers Within, Cat Hall, to name a few. And he's always throwing events which benefit our veterans, which we absolutely love and respect. So folks, please welcome Paul Kaldy, the owner of the production outfit Reggae Nights, to the show. So before we get started, can you just take a few and tell us a little bit about what you got going on at the moment and what we can look forward to the near future of Reggae Nights?
Thank you. I appreciate that, Scotty. How you been, my friend?
Not bad, brother. Just hanging in there, doing some podcasts, doing the grind, working full time. But other than that, having a lot of fun playing music, man. How about you?
Man, I appreciate that introduction. I haven't really had a lot of time to put together a resume of some of the shows, but man, wow. Sounds like we've been having some fun.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Reggae Nights is always doing something incredible. I love the way that it's not just a show, it's like a mini festival every single time. You've got the vendors, you have everything. Like I said, it's like a festival experience in a day, which I love, man. Being the hippie, I love the festival. So you definitely do it right.
Well, thank you, sir. We wouldn't sell something that we wouldn't buy, and
Amen.
I'd get 2 tickets for this every time we put on a show, and
That's awesome, man.
that's kind of our goal is, if I'm having more fun than the fans, then I think we're doing something right. And
Amen.
if the
Absolutely.
fans are looking forward to the show more than the fans,
Sure.
Hey, we're starting to put together something good. So that's the goal with everything.
Well, you got it on lock. I would actually go to one of your events without even knowing who was playing, just because I know it's going to be a good time. So,
well, I appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. And I'm really excited about what you have in the pipeline. Brothers Within, they're local, out of my neck of the woods, Daytona Beach, Florida, which is great. Cat Hall is phenomenal. So yeah, you're definitely doing it right, man. Much appreciated. And De Shaka, yes, definite shout out. Just had Brittany Dixon on the show the other day, and De Shaka, he is a incredible human being. Great.
And the goal is just to work with good people.
Sure.
When you work with good people, then you don't really need a plan B in life.
Right. Good call. The 5 P's, right? The proper planning prevents poor performance.
Yep. I love it. We started working with local artists too, outside of the reggae genre.
Yeah. Okay.
We utilize Centennial Park down here in Venice, Florida, which is just, it's just a picturesque setting for an event. And, starting to build some more traction, some more audience, some more, some more eyeballs here in Venice. Venice is a very unique town.
Sure.
Our median age in Venice is 65.
Wow, that's the median
And
age.
so for every one of me, there's a 115er running around,
Right?
probably in better shape than me as well,
Yeah.
because I see these guys are running around the block. Well,
Yeah,
I'm the
that's right.
last one picked for the kickball team at my
Right.
HOA, and it hurts my feelings every single time.
100. Yeah, it always sucks being the last kid picked, but somebody's got to be that guy, so it might as well be us, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. One thing we realized in Venice is, the word reggae is not understood for some
Sure.
people. Or it's just not an attraction for some people.
Okay.
But when you list off some of the bands that we've worked with, it's really hard to put some of those people into the same category, other than reggae, just because of how the fusion works.
Right.
And that's really the goal that we're working with Centennial Park is building that, just building that reputation of solid shows. And when we're putting some on in the park, maybe we get some new fans in there.
Absolutely, man. That's incredible. I love the way you think. So, Paul, why don't you do me a favor and take us back to the beginning? How did Reggae Nights get started, and what inspired you to create a reggae-focused production outfit in Florida?
It was when we first moved down here, we went to it was the first ever Canna Fest, and Cashed
Okay.
Out was the headliner.
Okay. Nice.
And we were coming from Ohio, and this was COVID, right in the middle of COVID, and everybody hated everybody, even yourself, and everybody
Sure.
complained about free ice cream. And then I was introduced to the band Cashed Out.
Nice.
And I was introduced to about 5,000 other people.
Right. Right.
That was just cool.
Absolutely.
And that was my first attraction was, I'm new to Florida, and what is this?
Right.
And how can I get more of it? And that's when we started reaching out to some bands, and we just started doing some interviews and doing some articles. And
Nice.
one thing led to another, and then that's where Reggae Nights Live started formed. And from there, we just kind of, hey, let's start working with some bands. Let's put on a show.
That's
And
great.
yeah, one thing after another. I'm full of bad ideas, but people keep me around because every once in a while I throw out that good one.
Yeah, so I'm. My wife always makes fun of me. She's, there's certain people that just can't take me because I'm rapid fire with the ideas. You know what I mean? It's like bip, 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 like that old machine gun where you crank the handle.
That's
But
that's me. Don't judge me on all my ideas because again,
right,
not all of them are great. But hey, sometimes you need that bad one to spark the next
yep.
great one.
That's how I look at it. I kind of remind myself of that thing at the fair where you would stick yourself to it and they would spin you and somebody would throw darts at you. Well,
Exactly.
hopefully one of my darts hits the person right in the forehead once in a while, and
It'll stick, man. Just keep
exactly,
spinning until something sticks.
that's it. Uh, so, what was your first event like? Were there any standout memories, or more importantly, lessons that you learned from that experience?
Yeah, so it was in April in snowbird season,
Okay, of
and we said we were starting at 5, and my DJ didn't show up until 6:30, and the
course.
band didn't show up until 7:30, and had no way to communicate. And but it was a reggae concert. They should expect us not to start on time.
100% living on island
We're
time.
just trying to stick to quality. But that was probably the first thing was realizing that we had no idea what we were doing, and we needed to have a little more control over the situation.
Sure, certainly.
Um,
Well, at least you definitely learned something and apparently applied it because that does not seem to be the case anymore. So,
yeah, we it's once we again, it's life is all about mistakes. That's better than college. And
sure.
sometimes it's more expensive though.
Yeah.
Just depends on how bad it is. But yeah,
Yep.
that's the best way to learn, right? Is to get burned, and if you get burned again, that's your own fault.
That's it, man. Yep.
You know,
I forgot what that saying was. shame on me, do it once, or shame on you if it happens once, shame on me if it happens twice. So yes, 100%.
Yeah, and again, like, I think it's the same way with people, is you got to trust people. And just for an installation, keep your coat on for a while, but
Right.
trust people so you don't get burned.
Absolutely.
And that's, I think in life you got to give people the benefit of the doubt, or else, I mean, you're just not happy.
Absolutely. 100%. I have a firm belief that people in general are good. So I start every relationship with that mindset. So
Hmm.
it's done me pretty good so far.
Yeah, and even that, you never know what somebody else is going through,
You're
or
exactly right.
where, how dirty their shoes are today, or
Yep.
who cut them off at McDonald's and then they forgot their wallet and couldn't even
Right.
buy their coffee that morning. Like, I
Yep.
mean, it's,
Yep.
don't be the guy that sets off the firework, I guess. Don't be
Right.
that guy.
Absolutely, man. Now reggae is definitely a globally beloved genre. So, how do you personally connect with it? And I know you had mentioned previously about what drew you to promoting reggae events, but uh, why reggae over another genre?
I think it takes me back to that cashed out experience.
Yep,
Back 2000, 2001, or whenever the first Canafest was.
sure,
It's like, those were my people and I had no idea.
right. That's great, man.
You
Yeah, it's a
know, you
community.
Yeah, you find your tribe, so you want to keep beating that drum, and I
That's
guess
it.
that's what we're chasing.
That's awesome, man. Um, now the reggae scene in Florida is definitely unique, because you've helped build it. Now, how would you describe it compared to other communities like maybe Cali, New York, or even Jamaica?
It's yeah, for us, it's really about the community and just trying to put together win-wins, and I think that becomes contagious, and that's the network that we want to build. Even like working with Cat Halls, who's coming from the West Coast.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean, she fits that what you just said, that Florida vibe, because
100%.
it's a community, and I mean, that's I think maybe that's genre over location,
Sure.
and that's probably what draws me into it. I'm from Youngstown, Ohio, and I
Okay.
lived in Carter County, Tennessee for
Nice.
12 years.
Wow. Heard that.
And my daughter is nothing but country.
Yeah, I'm
So,
from Charleston, South Carolina, so I feel you on that one.
and from bluegrass to Dollywood, I've seen a few different genres, and
I love both of those, by the way.
and again, like, there's nothing like some bluegrass twang,
Sure.
and some kinfolk with some biscuits and gravy. You know
Oh
where you're
yeah.
at. It's and again, that's just good flavor in music. I think if music has good flavor, that's when I enjoy it. And
100%.
I think reggae is the one I can cook the best.
Amen. I could not agree more. When that roots guitar, that roots style chug, chink, chink hits. Man, there's nothing like it, nothing like it. Especially after a nice build up. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. So I can definitely relate to you on that. Now you definitely showcase a lot of local talent. What do you think makes Florida reggae artists stand out? And what are some of the acts that definitely get you excited right now?
Man, it's just everybody's natural.
Yeah,
They do their own thing, and it's not they're non-apologetic about it, but they fit the vibe. If they fit the vibe, then we like them.
sure,
And
beautiful.
again, it's that flavor I think that we're looking for. Cashed Out is probably one of our bucket list bands.
Okay,
And until we get up to that bucket list, some of our, I mean, you mentioned some, I mean, we're working with our favorite bands.
yeah, great.
When it's from Drifting Roots to Vibes Farm, that dude, come on, man.
Yep, yep.
Like, come on, man.
I'm
Like, that
that
is that
dude.
is that is my number one song right
That's a
now.
great track. If it wasn't me, I'd
Um,
probably hate me too.
dude, that song is so good.
I'm actually having Tyler on next week. Played percussion for Vibes Farm. Great band to play with. Tyler Giddens is probably one of the best guitar players I've ever known, and I've known a lot in the genre of reggae and outside. He shreds.
And just great dude.
Oh yeah.
Behind the scenes hero.
Yes,
Just
100%.
I mean, I know for us, at our reggae on the island last October, he did a lot of behind the scenes work with our sound,
Yep.
making sure everything was on point for everybody. And again, he's not looking for a thank you, but
Right.
thank you, Tyler. Again, unsung heroes, man, the sound guys, and just everybody that puts out all the fires that start on stage or off stage or around the stage.
Let's give it up for him. There we go.
Absolutely.
And then right when we were about to hit the stage, I hadn't been so excited to play in a very long time. And wapow, there comes the rain. It was a pretty gnarly storm that came through. And the people there acted like they didn't live in Florida. They just packed up a lot of them and ran off because it was raining. And I was like, it's Florida, it's rain. But the show must go on. Went on. It was an absolutely fantastic show. Drifting Roots came on after us and just killed it like they always do. So that was a lot of fun.
Man, we had South Tip Hemp as one of our sponsors. They brought in 40 hemp plants, and we got
Nice.
all the pictures with the police and everything.
Oh, that's great.
And what was great about it was the educational thing. It was a part of our city review was about the hemp plants that we brought in. But that was our point, was a little bit of that culture shock, and
Sure.
getting somebody to stop, look twice, just so we can say, "Do you have any questions, ma'am?"
Yep. I love it, man. That's awesome. That'd be a great Reggae Nights promo. The police standing next to the plants.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. And they were, they're just awesome too. They had a lot of questions,
Sure.
and again, it's when you're able to educate and share information. I
Certainly.
mean, life is beautiful.
Certainly. 100%. I have a nonprofit, Sacred Echo. You can go to sacredecho.org and check it out. But we focus on everything holistic. The initiatives that we donate are going to be donating money to. The research for the disease research is all for holistic research to get the message out there and to educate people that there are holistic options. Um, you know, but a lot of people don't know, or they just think plant-based medicine. People are just running off getting high. They don't understand there's an actual use for it, medical
You
use
know,
for it.
yeah, absolutely. I think especially like they CBD fixes
Yep.
everything.
Yep.
What CBD does, it helps with inflammation, and
I
then when
like
we start
CBD.
looking. Yeah, and when we
Yeah,
start looking at a holistic approach,
sure.
and a natural approach, if we're able to reduce inflammation, don't be mad at us.
Right. Right.
I mean that's the biggest thing. When you look at a city
Sure.
and you look at traffic, if there's congestion, nobody's moving. I mean, that's just what happens in your body with inflammation.
That's it. 100%. I had CBD to be cut out. Not to get completely off topic, but it's worked wonders for me. The gummies. I got the RSO, the Rick Simpson oil, and
Hmm.
they say that it doesn't have a narcotic effect, but too much of that stuff will knock you down.
It's I think with hemp is kind of like chicken wings, right? Everybody can eat them. You just got to find the right sauce.
Exactly right. I like that.
And then again, you don't need to have hot sauce every Tuesday. Switch it up. Have a barbecue every once in a while.
Right. I love the way you think, sir. Uh, so, what are some of the biggest challenges that local reggae artists face in getting their music out there, and how does Reggae Nights help with that?
I think the biggest thing is just exposure, and
Yep.
that's going to be for both promotion, the band, and everybody. Is when you're able to work together, then everything just clicks.
Sure.
I see my job as bringing people there, but I need help from the band.
Sure. 100%. You sure do.
I need help from the band, but I'm
Yep.
not going to expect them to do everything.
Right.
Nobody's coming to the concert to see the guy with the beard and ponytail.
Right.
Nobody's doing it. And if they are, I will sign autographs. Just let
Yes,
me know. And I'll start a merch line. I'll get it ready. But they're
absolutely.
coming to see you guys. So that's why I need help from the band to promote the show. Now,
Yes,
me as the promoter, I'm going to give you guys all the tools. Ask me what tools you guys need, and let's work together. And if I don't have them, let's figure out how to build them. But
nice.
if you don't bother me, then you're never going to get anything from us.
Right. Well, in a reggae band called Smyrna Herb, based out of New Smyrna Beach, Florida, hence the name, obviously. And we play for a venue around here that requires the band to share social media posts leading up to the show one time per day for the 7 days leading up to the show, and then the day of show twice, or else they will only pay you half, and that's part of the contract. So they understand the importance of the band
Mhm.
promoting their own shows. Yes, it definitely helps a lot.
I think that's good for a band to go through because you're going to pick up good habits as a band. You're going to be like, you know what? At first, that sounded like a lot.
Right,
But it wasn't that bad. And
right,
holy shit, you guys sold how many tickets?
right.
Okay.
Exactly.
All
Yep.
right, maybe I should do sit-ups every morning.
Yeah. Now.
Nah, nah,
Uh-uh. Nothing's
nah.
worth that fight, man. So, Paul, why don't you go ahead and walk us through um, uh, what it takes to put on a Reggae Nights event, from booking the talent to marketing to the day of logistics. I'm not asking for any of your inside secrets, but just kind of a day in the life of Paul Kaldy when that alarm goes off and it's event day.
Man, so yeah, I want to work with everybody. I'm a fan of everybody's. If you're willing to get on stage, I got so much respect for you. The biggest hurdle as a promoter is going to be able to generate revenue. And
Sure.
that's going to be able to make it worth my time and also to be able to pay a respectable fee to the band. And that's the difficulty with everything is just being able to do that. So
And I
number
do
one,
know, let me have it here real quick, that you are one promoter that does, without a doubt, no matter what, you pay your bands, which is great because there's
well,
some that don't, or you know what I mean. So that's definitely
yeah, I mean,
commendable.
if we want to work with professionals, so we need to be professional.
Yes.
And I mean, we can't expect anything else from anybody else if we're not gonna meet up to our obligations.
Right.
In we got to find a band. Once we find a band, let's find a date. Once we find a date, let's find a venue. That's all really tricky.
Yes. Absolutely.
That is the trickiest part. Is now once you get all three married, then it's just it's a great day. It's a
I
great
like it.
Tuesday.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's like
Um,
that peanut butter jelly sandwich with bacon. It once they're all married together, it's wonderful.
yeah, it's seriously like seeing the planets align because you see them moving and you know the probabilities, and then you get the no, but you had the backup venue, and you're like, it's a little too much, and then
Right.
somebody else calls, and you're like, let's do it, and it all comes together.
Yes, absolutely. It's a beautiful thing. Then you hear the lady in the background singing, ah.
Yes, yes, yes. And then you build the event, and then you realize what you just did and
Yes,
the
amen.
commitment you just took on.
Yep.
And then you're like, did I really need to do that? And
Yeah.
then you're like, oh, the wife wanted to go on vacation.
Mm.
And then you're like, well, shoot, nope.
Yeah, right. I'm responsible for all of this now.
So yeah, I guess then it's a little bit of buyer's remorse, I guess.
Sure, sure.
And then you drop the announcement on social media and you get the first couple likes, and you're like,
You're good. Yep.
let's do this. Let's do
Absolutely.
this.
Yes.
Yeah, and then the adrenaline picks up. You get your first vendor, you get your first sponsor,
Yep.
and you're like, yeah, let's do this. Let's do this.
You have a very impressive vendor list from the show that I played with Vibestorm when we were down there. Just the amount of vendors that you had there, I was like, wow. I was and full range, everything. I spent quite a bit of money at the vendor booth at that
Awesome,
show.
awesome.
So Yeah, there was a lady that made these really cool signs. One that says "Warning Hippies." I got that, and then the amazing ice cream. Yeah, I mean, it was great. Like I said, it's like a festival experience at your shows. But you know how to pick and set up the vendors right. There weren't too many food vendors. There weren't too many clothing vendors. It was a nice mix of everything.
I mean, it's like living a dream. It's like, you go to a farmer's market and you find the stuff that you like, and you're like, "Will you come work with me?" And they're like,
Amen.
"Yeah,"
Yep.
and I mean, it's just it's so much fun.
Oh, sure.
Um, and again, working with professionals, when you have professional vendors, my job is just to bring people to the show.
Yep.
I mean, because they're going to handle their own part. And again, the more professional vendors, and again, we want to equip these guys with tools as well for marketing.
Right. Sure.
And they're able to drop things on their social. The bands are dropping things on their social, and everything comes together. We have a good turnout. We're all working together.
And I like how you promote the vendors just like you promote the bands. You let people know these people are going to be here. These people are going to be here. That's what I was telling my wife before the Vibe Storm show that I played. I was like, check out the vendors that are going to be there, and then you drop another, and I was like, oh, this is going to be great, man.
Again, nobody's coming to see me, man. Like,
Right.
they're coming to see Jetty Boys rum cakes because they got some rum cakes.
That's it.
They're coming to see Gasparilla coffee because it goes great with rum cakes.
Sure. 100%. Yeah, it was it's yeah, very awesome, man. Definitely love what you do. And I know you've been doing it for a while. So what have been some of the most memorable or wildest moments at Reggae Nights events? And I'm talking whatever. Crazy
We
bar
nothing's
stools
ever
being thrown.
nothing's been on script
Sure.
ever. And I'm one that likes to plan, and we try to poke holes in everything before the event, because if we can poke a hole in it today, then we don't have to worry about it tomorrow.
Right.
Um, but for our Serenation show, we had rain.
Ah,
For Reggae Nights on the Island, we had rain. Um, but when you look at all of our reviews, everything is positive,
yes. Sure.
and again, I think it's that, it's that community. It's
Yes.
it's we're selling something that we're buying, or at least
Sure.
these are the events that we want to go to,
You're
or
selling
something
something you
like
believe
this.
in.
Absolutely.
People see that. And it's apparent in your work. It's apparent in what you do. You
Well,
wouldn't
thank
put so
you.
much heart
Thank
and
you.
soul into something. I mean, you'd be very, very, very awkward if you put that much heart and soul into something that you didn't believe in. So, um, what's the hardest part of running an independent production outfit? And mainly, what's something that you wish more people understood about what you do? If you could just tell everybody, hey, hold up, you don't get it. What would that be?
Yeah, it's more of it's hard to call it a business,
Right.
because the profit and loss statements, it's more of a hobby.
Sure.
Um,
It's why just take the P off the P&L.
yeah, pretty much. Again, I think I know what our end goal is, and if we never get it, we had a blast chasing it.
Right.
And that's what I tell my team is, if you enjoy blowing up rocket ships, who cares if we ever get to the moon?
Amen.
We're just going to keep shooting them off, man. And I think that's kind of our mentality with this, where our next show is 327 with Tony Santone. That's our biggest show coming up, man. I'm
Right.
so pumped for it.
That's awesome.
Then after that, we got 410 with Day Shaka. Then we got
Yes.
Cat Hall coming. And it's just momentum after momentum after
Yep.
momentum.
100%.
And again, it's just rocket ship after rocket ship. And, we're just going to keep shooting them off.
I love it. Well, I've got the lighter, so let's do this, man. How's the reggae event space changed since you started? Has like streaming, social media, other trends affected the live reggae shows?
I think everybody has their own flavor. Every promoter is their own promoter, and every promoter's show kind of has their own flavor. We've tried different shows, and there's barbecue, and there's you can deep fry things, and I think we've learned how we like to make our shows.
Sure, that's great.
And again, Yeah, having the different diversity is going to be even better for the community because we're different than these guys and we're a little bit different than these guys and
Sure,
we're way more professional than these guys. And
sure,
you can bring your kids and grandma to this show.
right.
And again, that's good to have, and it's good to have a little bit of difference between the promotions.
That's great to have. You definitely family friendly events, especially for something that you do, creating that festival experience is awesome. It's nice to know that you can bring the entire family. Hey, you're going to have fun. Everybody's going to have fun at a Reggae Nights event. That's an absolute fact. Now, you do a lot of benefit events for veterans. Can you just tell us about the connection between Reggae Nights and veteran support, and what inspired you to make that a part of your mission? Because it's a big part, and I think it's an absolutely amazing part.
Absolutely. So I'm a veteran. I was in the Navy for almost 9 years, and I joined the Navy right out of high school, and as
Okay.
soon as I joined, I learned to celebrate alcoholism.
Yeah, me too. I quit
I
drinking 8 months ago, man. It
like,
was,
green is bad. Let's go get drunk. And
yep.
I'm like, yeah, okay, boss, let's
Yeah.
do it. And I mean, case in point, in the Navy, if you're out to sea for more than 60 days, you get beer day. You get 2 beers.
Okay.
Right? I mean, now we're celebrating alcoholism. Let's do this.
Right.
Um, so getting so getting out, once I got out, it took me a minute to kind of open up to the green side because
Right.
I mean, it was the devil's lettuce and all this
Yep.
crazy
Yep.
shit.
Yep.
And then I got introduced to it, and well, then I got into the CBD business, and now I'm into reggae. So that's part of my connection. That's
Nice.
part of my drive. I'm not anti-alcohol. I just don't drink a lot.
Amen.
It's
Yep.
it's I don't want to. I don't need to. I would
Yep.
rather smoke, and I'd rather do other things than drink.
Yes, me too. You
And
should definitely hang out with my wife. She is that exact same way. I smoked for a really long time. It just doesn't hit me right anymore. I get so super paranoid. But the CBD has been
Mhm.
my saving grace. That's why I'm still a huge um, promoter and proponent, and I wouldn't say spokesperson, but advocate for the illegal, for marijuana. And I had one of my buddies. He's like, "We don't even smoke." I'm like, "I do CBD 5 times a day, so that's part of the plant."
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And again, that chicken wing analogy, man. You just
yep,
need different sauces. And again, you and again in life you change.
right,
So you need to adjust. And
yes,
part of that is, like you said, you are more on the CBD side.
yes,
And
absolutely.
you have the self-awareness to pay attention to that. So bravo on that.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. Absolutely. And yeah, just plant based medicine in general. I'm huge fan of. And if
Hmm.
anybody else has real quick plug, check out Sacred Frequency Podcast. It's my other podcast for the nonprofit, and we delve into a lot of that cool stuff. Speaking of the Navy and the veteran shows, is there any specific organization that you maybe donate to or that you benefit, or is it just across the board?
Well, so what we did, we've created a show called Vets for Vets,
Okay,
and we have veterans. If you're in the band or you're a veteran, part of the band, then you can perform on our Vets show.
that's great.
And we did that last year. We brought in a bunch of a bunch of different related veteran-owned businesses and businesses that educate veterans on benefits like Easter seals. We actually we just started up something called Shellback Shades,
Okay,
which is selling sunglasses. For
nice.
every pair sold, a pair is going to be donated to a vet or a vet organization. So that's something new that's going to be taking place at some of the events.
And what was the name of that again?
Shellback Shades,
Shellback, like
like a turtle.
oh, okay, cool,
Hmm.
beautiful. I didn't know
So
you were talking about
now
like
the
a
history.
gun, like a shotgun shell or something.
Well, the history behind the shellback is in the Navy. you're considered a polywog until you cross the equator.
Okay.
Once you cross the equator, you then go through a ceremony and you become a shellback.
Nice. Right on.
Now,
That's
if you
cool.
cross the equator and the international date line at the same time, you become a golden shellback.
Nice. I actually wanted to join the Coast Guard when I was younger. I was not able to get in because I was on antidepressant. They were very mild antidepressants, but they wouldn't let me in. I wanted to be a Coast Guard diver. But yeah, it is what it is. Everything works out for a reason. Yeah, the universe has a plan. So, but yeah, it was definitely something that I wanted to do. But it is what it is, man. I ended up doing what I'm doing now, playing percussion, doing a podcast. So it's a beautiful thing. Now, do you think reggae music itself has a special healing or unifying power that makes it particularly impactful for veteran focus events?
I think so.
Me
I
too.
mean, you just listen to it.
Yes.
Like, and if you don't hear it in that song, just skip to the next until you do hear it.
Sure.
You'll hear it, and that's, again, you just got to find the right song.
Amen.
Something will connect.
Yes, absolutely. How can the reggae community, myself, and music lovers get more involved in supporting the veteran community? But try to focus on the reggae community answer because anything I can do, anything my nonprofit can do, anything my podcast could do, I'm all ears.
Yeah, I think, this is part of it is just extending hands, shaking hands, welcome each other and just talking to each other. Uniting the same people. I think we were all kind of fighting on the same mission, and that's educating people on the reggae vibe.
Sure.
It's just about the education and really teaching the community that it's more about the vibe than anything else.
100%. That's it.
Hmm.
To me, it's definitely about the vibe. And the vibe comes from why was reggae music started? It was started for revolution. It was started for revolt. It was started for community building to bring people together to be able to stand up against oppression and fight. So that is a beautiful vibe. That's a community family vibe. So it was started around a community vibe, love vibe for one another, and I that definitely carries on. The message is just as valid today as it was in the '60s when the music started, and I believe the vibe is exactly the same. And it carries 100%. I love that. That's why I like reggae music so much. It it is what it is, no matter what part of the world you're in. You know, it's got that community vibe to it, and it's a beautiful thing. Um, where do you see Reggae Nights in 5 years? I ask everybody this question. For some reason, I'm fascinated with 5 year plans, and I don't know why. But are there any plans to expand, try new things? Maybe I know you had mentioned outside the reggae genre.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we have Reggae Nights, and we've got a sister site now called Venice Nights,
you're doing bluegrass,
and
aren't you?
Venice Nights covers more of the broader genres.
Okay,
Um, and again, we're trying to build the audience and the reputation of covering quality events. If something's going on, then one of our websites is going to have it on there.
that's great.
And if it's on there, it's been filtered, it's been vetted. You might as well go because it's going to be worth the money.
Yes, absolutely. Uh, how big is your team? Because
Um,
I visited your websites before, but I just obviously before the show, brushing up on everything, visited the website, visited your social media. It's an absolutely incredible website, the Reggae Nights dot live. So that's not just something that you just do randomly. That's a very professional website that takes a lot of time. And I know that you're booking, you're doing all this. I mean, so what's behind the scenes? How big is your team for real?
we got a pretty big team.
Okay.
Remember we also, one of our biggest supporters is Try Healthy CBD,
Yes. Cool.
and
You have to hook me up for that anyway too. That's
that's one of our biggest supporters.
Sure.
And I lead the creative team for that.
Okay.
So I borrow the creative team from Try Healthy, and
Nice.
we're just kind of flexing some things that we can do.
Nice.
The hardest thing with running the hardest thing with running a CBD business is all the restrictions
Yeah.
on advertising.
Okay.
And that's what's been so fun for the team, letting them loose
Yes.
on a
Hell yeah.
media project
Yeah. That's
is
great.
like they're just out there beating their chests and we're
Right.
not
Yeah.
getting in trouble.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to watch them have fun with projects versus always having to restrict them on everything.
Yeah. She said they're out there beating their chest. It's guerrilla style, but then they're taking it to the streets, guerrilla style. I
They,
love it.
and they have fun with it.
That's
And
great.
when the team's having fun with it and they're like, hey, and they're more excited when an artist reaches back to us with the fact finder, and I mean, it's just a lot of fun when the whole team is enjoying it.
100%, man. And if you ever need any more creative juice, hit me up. I am a whirlwind of ideas. I love it. So I'm working with a couple of. I have my own nonprofit. I'm working with another one. I'm going to give them a shout out. Real quick, Three Little Birds Bandcamp.com. Have you ever heard of that before?
I have not. Tell
It
me more about
is
that.
a pairing service that pairs house hosts with touring reggae bands. So you go to Three Little Birds Bandcamp.com, you sign up, and then if you have a home that you want to host, you go and you sign up. And if you're a signed up band, you hit up Three Little Birds, let them know where your tour is going to be, and they find hosts in those areas to basically get you cost free lodging. So
That is pretty cool.
they're saving the touring reggae bands a ton of money.
No,
So
that is awesome.
yeah, it's absolutely fantastic thing. And real quick, if you hear a train in the background, don't mind. My RV. I live in an RV, and I'm right by a railroad track, so I think it might. Here it comes. But so would you ever consider taking reggae nights beyond Florida, or do you
Ah,
want it rooted in the local scene in Florida?
I mean, it is our windshield is bigger than our rear view mirror.
Sure,
And I think in life, we try to be a sailboat, and we're going to grab the wind and take it where it wants to blow us.
sure,
If something happens, yeah, absolutely, we'll take it. If not, we're just going to keep building it. The 5-year plan is just to keep building the
yeah,
structure, and we keep adding new layers, and all. Just like when you mentioned some of the bands we've worked with,
right,
I'm like, oh shit, yeah,
right,
okay, yeah, that's pretty, yeah, okay, all right, and again, it's. We sometimes we forget to celebrate some of our successes
sure,
because we're too worried about putting on the next show,
right,
which is 2 weeks from now.
yep. Well, you should actually do something. Bands go on tour. Reggae Nights should go on tour. Hit up
Oh
different
man,
states, book some shows.
yeah. What I would like to do, Venice, we're smack dab in the middle between St. Pete and Fort Myers.
Yes.
So we're trying to if you look at our concert dates, we're trying to become this Thursday stop for
Okay.
bands.
Okay.
So we can take you to St. Pete or we can take you to Fort Myers on
That's great.
Friday, and you guys can either keep going north or south. But let us, we're gonna call it almost the weekend series.
Nice. I
But
like.
when somebody books something, St. Pete, Fort Myers, think of us. Think of Centennial Park. Let me know about it. We'll see if we can get you something, at least a decent paycheck on a Thursday night.
Nice.
And then get you sent off on that tour. But yeah, that's kind of I think that's kind of our next goal is to become this stop in between the larger cities.
Sure. I like that. And every band needs a stop like that. You know what I'm saying? It's that extra dates are always a good thing. And then you pair that with Three Little Birds Band Camp, and they got a free place to stay.
In Venice to boot, man, we got a beautiful town. We'll show you off. We'll go shark tooth hunting.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Venice
you
is
know,
definitely known for that. The Shark's Teeth.
de- definitely make it worth your time.
That's fantastic, man. Well, if you could put together a dream lineup for Reggae Nights, He would be on it. Local, international, doesn't matter.
I cashed out.
Yeah.
Tag them.
Hell yeah.
Again, that's bucket list band. That's really the band that we heard, and I'm like, man, we got to do more. We got to do more. What's interesting is Tyler G was the first artist we ever interviewed, and he
Really?
was on that. He was on that show.
Right. Tyler Giddens. Yep.
Yeah, Vise Farm was on that show, and we interviewed him. So that's just a fun fact. Long, long time ago.
Yeah.
But
Once again, shout out. It's a great dude.
definitely cashed out. I would put Sear Nation. I would put Iconic.
I love Iconic, man.
Um,
I love all the bands you just mentioned. Serenation's amazing too.
man, I love Joe Samba.
Yes, 100%.
I love Little Stranger.
Little Strangers is a trip. They're from my hometown, I believe, Charleston, South Carolina.
Man, the coffee and a joint, I could do that all day.
Right.
That could be my theme song. I think that was my theme song.
Yeah. Oh God, I don't know my theme song, man.
I was thinking Ballyhoo and Dark Sunglasses. I could make that my theme song.
Nice, man. Yes, for me, I was talking to my buddy, the band I'm in, Seed from a Tree, the lead singer Justin. I was like, if I had that expendable income and I could create, the dream lineup, it wouldn't necessarily be a lineup, but it would be a 3-day, 200 bands, like 50 acres camping festival in Europe, all reggae, but it would be free, absolutely free. And I was like, well, then how would I get, because if it's free, everybody's going to say they want to go, and then all of my space would run out, so the people, they could put down like a $200 deposit for the tickets, and when they go to the show, they get that back, just to guarantee they go. But that would definitely be my dream, to be able to have that much music in one spot, and the festival goer wouldn't have to pay a dime for it.
The accessibility.
That would be absolutely amazing. So for the people who have never been to a Reggae Nights event, how would you describe the experience in 3 words?
Bring grandma next time.
4 words. Just kidding. Bring grandma next time. That's great. That reminds me of that movie, Throw Mama from the Train. But then, yes, it's definitely a family-friendly event, so you could bring everybody to. So love them. Can't wait to go to our next one. So what keeps you motivated to keep putting these events on year after year?
Chasing the cashed outs, just being able to build a reputation, so when you do contact a bucket list band, they don't laugh at you.
Right.
That's kind of the goal, and again, building those foundations, man. Keeping the window, looking out the window, not the rearview mirror, and
right.
just not worrying about what everybody else is doing.
Yes, amen.
Is part, I think, what helps keep you motivated.
Yep.
And just focusing on what makes you and the team happy.
That's great, man. Yes, because when you're happy with yourself and what you're doing, it's going to show in your work completely. So for someone who wants to get into music promotion business, this is a fun one, especially in reggae. What is your biggest piece of advice? And you can't say don't do it.
Find good bands to work with.
Right. 100%.
You need good bands to start with.
Sure.
And because I learn stuff new every time we work with somebody new. I learn something new from them, whether it's the way they set something up, the way they run their sound, the way they, it's a learning experience every time. And if you're humble enough to watch and listen, then your next show is going to be better.
That's great, man. I love that. You said each time is a different learning experience because you learn from the bands. That's exactly why I love doing these podcasts. I've had guys on from the Virginia reggae scene, from Arizona, and I love it, you know, because it's different views, and you're constantly you're learning something new every single time from somebody who obviously has a different perspective halfway across the United States. So it's incredible. That's what makes it fun. So, lastly, what's one thing that you want people to walk away with after attending a Reggae Nights event?
I want more reggae.
Amen. That's awesome, man. And that is absolutely true. Whenever we left, I was like, I cannot wait to go back to the next one. I cannot wait
Yep.
for some more reggae music.
When's the next one?
Yes,
Is what we
exactly.
want people to think.
Yep. And I know for an absolute fact they do because I did. And that's just the general consensus after the event was, man, I can't wait for the next one. That was so much fun. So, real quick before we head out, what's your favorite reggae movie? I just want to throw a quick one at you.
Oh, we got to do with the new Marley movie.
That's a great one. That's a great one. Yeah, we saw the premiere. My wife and I got tickets for the day of show. The premiere.
Last time I remember I've been to the theater we went to go see that.
Yeah, it was fantastic. They did a really good job on nailing the factual basis of Bob's life. They did an outstanding job. It was incredible. Even his family was like, we were blown away at how good you guys did. So that's an amazing thing. Mine's Rockers. It's a great movie. If nobody's ever seen it, definitely check that out. So, Paul, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show, man. It was a lot of fun. Great to get your insight and hear from you. Even before the podcast, you're a dude that I wanted to sit down and talk to, just to see, kind of pick your brain, see how you operate, and see how everything goes. So thank you so much. I definitely appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
Awesome, man. And there's strength in unity. Build your community. That's my favorite personal quote. To follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Hippie-Fari, TikTok, Hippie-Fari. Shoot me an email, hippie-fari@yahoo.com, and check out my website, hippie-fari.podbean.com. And this is Scotty, the high-strung hippie, reminding you to speak your mind before somebody else does it for you. And check out my other podcasts, Sacred Frequency Podcast, and my nonprofit's website, sacredecho.org. So do something nice for somebody today. Grab flowers for your partner. Smoke out a stranger. Slip the homeless man a buck. But whatever you do, do it from the heart. Because all good things start with the heart. Peace, love, and Rasta rhythms are all part of that reggae revolution. One love, fam.